Hey, what's up, and welcome everybody to this episode of Tending the Flag. We're doing a special episode this week where we are going to recap the 2025 PGA Championship. The second major of the year is behind us. But before we go into that, of course, I hope you guys know us by now. My name is PJ Kanojan, and I am coming to you here from the lovely city of Williamsburg, Virginia. And on the other side of the internet is my co-host, coming from a state that has more businesses than people, if you can believe that, Kevin Leonowich. Kevin, how are you doing on this evening?
I'm doing all right, man. I've enjoyed the weekend, played some golf, ready to talk about the PGA Championship.
Where'd you play?
We played at the St. Anne's Golf Club, which is in lovely Middletown, Delaware. It is definitely one of the hardest tracks around here. The head pro there was like, it always plays about at least five shots harder than what the handicap says. And there's literally nothing around there. So there's always about 20 mile per hour winds. It's crazy. It's a really cool course, but it's just hard.
How'd you do?
Not good. Have you ever just completely lost the feel of how to play golf completely?
Yes. Many times.
So I started off, I was striking the ball really well for the first four holes. The next 4 or 5, I hit one bad drive, and other than that, it was decent ball striking. And then the last 5 or 6 holes, I don't think I knew how to swing a golf club. The 17th and 18th, I took 6 swings and I lost 6 balls in the water. It was quite the ending to my round.
No, the exact same thing happened to me because I went out and played this weekend. I was down in Orlando. And I played at the club called Stony Brook West, and it's a club. It's a golf course. That's what I'll say about it. No, it's not bad. It's a cool track. It's just the course itself, and I think this has more to do with the time of year, really, than anything else. The fairways were all burnt out. The greens were pretty well in immaculate shape, and from what I understand, they're kind of renovating and doing a comeback of that course, but the fairways were just really, really in bad shape. Not unplayable and not bare, just burnt. But again, that's Florida. It's 100-degree heat. And okay day, and by the time it got to those last 3 holes, I don't know if it was the 100-degree heat or what it was, but I forgot how to play golf. It was really I was in, I was 10 years old and picking up a club for the first time. It sucked, but a fun day. But yeah, dude, I felt like Rory at the PGA.
Yeah, I remember being on 17, which is a par 5, water all down the right, heavy, wispy crap to the left. And I took a ball off the tee into the water, and one of the guys we were playing with tossed me another one. He's like, "You want to hit another?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Put that one in the water. Took a drop in the fairway, put that one in the water. And then I decided to drop from 110. And I said out loud, I went, "No way I can possibly lose this one, right?" And I hit a sand wedge and pulled it just a little left, and it kicked off the side of the green and into just the shrubbery. And sure enough, I lost. It was
brutal.
It was just one of those days. Always a good time.
Yeah, I want to say going into 16, I might have been 13, 14 over, and I finished 20 over.
There you go.
So something along those lines. It was a really bad last couple holes, but no, it was a good time. Just really stupidly hot down in Florida. We did have some heating up action too at the PGA, which is kind of the whole purpose why we're here to talk about it. We have a new number 1, according to Phil Mickelson. It is no longer Joaquin Niemann. He has finally admitted that Scottie Scheffler is the world number 1. I think the PGA win kind of cemented it in Phil's head. Finally, seeing what the rest of us see.
Well, especially when his number 1 finally got his top 10 too. He finishes T8.
I know.
And Niemann somehow falls out of the number 1 spot for Phil. It feels a little bit of a betrayal, in my opinion.
Not for anything, but we do know, going by past records, that Phil isn't exactly good with numbers. It's a gambling joke there for you.
I was going to say, yeah.
It's a little rough with the numbers. Yeah, his point spread in his head probably isn't working out too great. But yeah, Niemann finishing T8 along with Siwoo, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Jon Rahm, who's the only guy who gave Scotty kind of a run for his money over the weekend.
Yeah, he made it really close, on the back nine, or at least at the beginning of the back nine. He was, one shot back, They might have even pulled tied.
Yeah, they're tied.
Yeah.
They were tied at one point.
Yeah.
And then John Rahm hits that green mile and just, phew, see ya. Forget it.
Yeah, you saw John Rahm really squeezing on Sunday with the short par 4 and then the par 5. He made 2 pars on those, and I think then and there he knew it was over with.
Yeah, he finished up what was it, double or bogey, something like that on his last 2 holes.
Yeah, and a couple doubles in there too.
Just a rough day for him. But Scotty with the dominance though, like. It's proving he's not world number 1. I mean, there should be no doubt in anybody's mind why he is world number 1. He is just that damn good at golf, just way better than anybody else right now.
He is that good. He is this generation. They're Tiger Woods performances almost. Running away on a course like Quail Hollow isn't easy to do. But even when he wasn't playing well to close out the round, or at least the middle of his round on Sunday, like he still is pulling away and just winning by way too many.
Yeah, to win his 3rd major championship, just in such dominating fashion, it was ridiculous. Like it was art. Like he made it art. The first 2 rounds of the championship were ho hum, but he just comes back and finds a way while everybody else just kind of fell off.
Yeah, I mean Saturday he plays the last 5 holes at 5 under, and that is literally 5 shots gained on the entire competition. It was unreal to watch him close Saturday. Right there, in my opinion, was when it was over. Credit to Rahm for closing in on Sunday. Scotty slipped a little bit as well, but it was incredible.
And he finishes 5 strokes better than the rest of the field, which is it's unbelievable. I mean, we have English second, Bryson once again pulling up a top 10, and none of those second place guys were really in contention. Like we said, the only one in contention really was John Rahm, and he fell off the charts. Otherwise, it was no contest.
Yeah, no contest. At the age of 28, Scotty Scheffler joins Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus as the 3rd player ever to win 3 career majors and 15 PGA Tour titles before turning 29. Quite the company for him.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. And I think it was no laying up. I think they were talking about the I can't remember if it was DraftKings or FanDuel. I think they go with FanDuel. Don't quote me on that. But they were saying that by 2040, I want to say, by the end of his career, they have an over and under on Scotty having 10.5 majors.
That is unreal. That is a big number.
So that's the over-under line. He's at 3 already. He's 28 years old. 2040, that's going to put him in his first... right around his 40, I can't do math, but he'll be significantly older in 2040. But I think 10.5 is achievable. I think I might take the over on that, the way he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's insane off the tee. He's the best iron player in the world. His short game is unreal. And now he's like a top 10 putter on tour. He fixed his putting last year, and I mean, you can see he's paying off. 9 wins, couple majors. Like, he's pretty much unstoppable when he's on his game.
Yeah, career Grand Slam is a matter of when, not if, right?
I would think so. He's got every bit of it to win any tournament. I think he steps foot on the grounds. He's got every aspect of the game possible.
Yeah, he's been a little squiffy with the Opens. I think those courses don't really, the setup of the Opens don't really set his eye. But, I mean, obviously he's beaten Augusta. He's figured that one out. He's going to win a couple more green jackets by the time it's all said and done. PGA, he doesn't need that. He got that already. And this year's PGA, I mean, as a tournament, it really, I don't know. And this is kind of going off on a I guess, a tangent or a whole nother topic, but it didn't really feel like a major at all.
No, it didn't. I was talking to you a little bit earlier, and I kind of just said I kind of tuned Thursday and Friday out. I didn't really come home from work and want to turn the TV on and watch them playing. I think the leaderboard after Thursday too, none of the big names were up there. It was a bunch of, I saw somebody call it a mid-major, shout out the college references. And it couldn't be any more true. The people winning on Thursday were people you didn't care about. Came home Friday, and like I said, it was cool to see big names show up, but you also saw big names dropping, like DJ and It was just crazy. Some of these people that didn't make the cut. Oberg didn't make the cut. Like, it was just a weird
DJ's
tournament.
a whole other story.
Yes,
like, DJ is just I mean, let's be real here. He's been shitting the bed in majors. Like, he's missed so many cuts. I had a stat on it and I can't find it right now, but he's missed pretty much every cut since joining Live.
Well, I mean, in the last year, I mean, he was joint last this year. His worst ever Masters was in 2024. This was his worst ever PGA. His worst ever U.S. Open was last year too. I'm not going to call it a Live effect because you still see Rahm coming T10 in quite a few majors. You see Bryson contending in almost every major now. But yeah, DJ's completely fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and I found that stat. It says he missed the cut in 5 of his last 10 major starts and hasn't recorded a top 10 since 2023. And I'll agree with you. I don't really buy into the Live Golf effect. I mean, these guys, yes, they have the automatic money. Yes, they're not playing for survival, but they're training just as hard. And, you know, again, Bryson and John Rahm are perfect examples of that in this last tournament. But I'm not going to buy the Live effect because it's still hard, high-level professional golf.
Oh, definitely. Also, shout out Brooks Koepka. There was a picture going around the internet of him in some kind of gas station buying a case of Miller Lite after he didn't make the cut this week. The quote from the tweet was, he went to grab some beer after a rough 18 holes. I think this guy might be doing the same thing. It was a pretty good description of what was going on.
Yeah. Going back to the setup at Quail Hollow, though, I mean, and we touched about it on our preview episode, it's a regular stop on tour, and for a major, I want a major to be the toughest test in golf. Augusta is a really tough test. The U.S. Open is always a tough test. The British, well, the Open, not the British Open, shows how old I am, but the Open's always a tough test. The PGA Championship is not that difficult in comparison to those other ones, and I think it should be the hardest of all because the PGA Tour, it is their signature event. It is their major, and it always has the strongest field in golf. So why would they bother setting up something where, like the bunkers, for instance, most of the bunkers just filtered down to the middle. So if you hit onto the side of it, you weren't really screwed. You were coming down, and the bunkers were just basically not penalizing at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a couple problems.
Yeah, the really only penalizing part of the tournament was playing out of the rain and all the mud balls from the fairway that we saw. I agree, right. The bunkers are kind of they're safe spots, and I mean this goes for a lot of tour stops and kind of the modern game right now. Bunkers aren't really a hazard for the pros; they're just too good at them. But yeah, you're right. There's just not much that was punishing about the golf course.
The other problem I have, too, is that it's just set up for bombers, and that's it. You're not going to see a guy with mid-range coming up from behind and winning. And you'll get that at a place like Augusta, where a bomber can win it, as we saw with Rory, but we've also had a couple years where it's been more of a cerebral and mental event. And I don't think you get that with the PGA Championship, because it's, again, Quail Hollow was just set up like a regular tour event, and you're not going to see, like Johnny Vegas. That was kind of cool. I know it was kind of boring, and he's like, I don't want to say he's a no-name because he's been a journeyman on tour for a while, but it was kind of cool to see him in the lead for a little bit and competing, and then he just slowly fell off because the bombers just take over the course.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like some of the comments coming out of Philly Cricket kind of echoed the same thing at Quail Hollow, too. That was kind of just, you get to the tee, you pull your driver, and if you miss, you miss, and you just play from there. I miss that mental approach that some of these golf courses have, like playing to the left side of a fairway because, you know, you just can't get to a pin from the right side. Just kind of those finer details like that, I feel like we're missing at this tournament. And I'm not sure if just Quail Hollow fatigue, seeing it over and over again, but nothing really catches my eye there that stands out. We were talking about courses that we see every year, like Augusta, TPC Sawgrass. We don't see it every year, but like something like St. Andrews for the Open, like that's very repetitive, but I could watch that course every day of my life in a professional tournament. Like there's something about those courses that draws us in and draws a lot of the, you know, just regular casual viewing audience that I just don't think Quail Hollow had. I'm not sure exactly what to put it on. It's not an island green. It's not a waterfall or a windmill that makes these places special. There's just something about it, some kind of aura almost, that I just feel like Quail Hollow is missing.
Yeah, St. Andrews is one of those courses. It's an old course, so you can play it 17 different ways, and you have to figure out what approach works best for your game. And that's, I think, an art that's kind of being lost in the PGA now, and even in modern course design. I mean, yes, you have to lengthen out the courses and all, but you kind of lose that, okay, I need to figure out how to play this so it best suits my eye, which may or may not be the way the architect intended it, but I can conquer this course by using my brain rather than just brute strength. And I think that's an art that's being lost.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're just not going to like Oakmont then.
Yeah.
290-yard par threes and the likes of that. But, like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, Quail Hollow just felt like kind of like the tiger-proofing era of golf, where it was just like, well, we'll just throw the tees 60 yards further back. And in the long run, I feel like it only helped Tiger more than hurt him.
Right. Yeah, it's like the juice ball era of baseball. What was it? When late 90s, early 2000s, when every hit was a home run. Like, cool, I like seeing home runs. I like seeing 320, 330-yard drives, but it gets boring after a while.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's repetitive. And maybe that's what it is about a course like this, where it's just driver, iron, bunker shot, putt. And there's just, no thrills. And it is just a little boring, unfortunately. I tuned in Sunday because the leaderboard, was good. There was some big names over there, and it got close. The same thing on Saturday. There were some names. There were some runs. That's what made me tune in. It wasn't the event itself.
Right. And I'm hoping Aronimink, they kind of take some feedback from this year and they make Aronimink a little bit more challenging and I guess more fun and make it feel like a major. Because right now, to me, the PGA feels like less of a major than the Players.
Yeah, I get where you can say that. And I'll keep vouching for it. When Marion got in the spotlight, everybody said it's going to be too short. It's going to be too easy. And then the winning score is, even par, 1 under. Like, that course came and bit everyone in the butt. And it took them by surprise because I think they sleptwalk on how hard of a test it could be. So that's why I'm kind of hopeful that, like, an Aronimink can hold its own as well. It's also an event that, like, they might have to go and learn the course. So I think that's going to be a +2 for a championship event.
Yeah, I think that was the other beef. And again, I don't want to rehash what we said on the preview episode, but yeah, we did talk about how Quail Hollow was just another stop on tour. These guys knew it, and that's just a miscue by the PGA right there. I know that Quail Hollow is a very successful event for them, and they're going to keep coming back there, and that's fine. But I don't know. I just don't like it being a regular tour event. Yeah. So, said the piece on that.
It kind of puts me at ease, too. We're not the only ones that have been saying that or will be saying that.
No.
This seems to be a pretty common theme going around the golf sphere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I don't know. We've said our piece on that. I guess we can move on to the next thing. I want to talk about Rory.
Let's do it.
Good old Rory. All right, well, first of all, he starts his round off with a nonconformist driver. Now everybody's like, oh, see, he cheated at Augusta. That win should be taken away from him, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's the deal. They randomly test people's clubs before each round. And yes, you can make an argument that it should be everybody's clubs are tested before each round, blah, 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 whatever. They randomly tested it, and his turned out to be, a no-go. Fine. That doesn't mean he cheated. That doesn't mean he modified anything. That doesn't mean he did anything on purpose. He hits the ball and has a club speed of like 1,000,000 and has a ball speed of 1,000,000 plus 3. That's going to warp your club head face a little bit and make it dented. And eventually, just like your clubs at home, it's going to wear down and be non-conforming. Now, your clubs at home, it's going to take a little bit longer, but after a certain amount of time, they wear out. Why do you think when you hit a ball or when you play enough golf, eventually, like, the ball comes off your club face really well. It's because you've broken that driver in. And Rory really just super broke his driver in. I mean, he did nothing wrong there as far as I'm concerned. It just happened to be like, this was the day that his driver didn't line up with the standards. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And if it was something like super egregious, like something like the shaft was way too long, or like, the surface area of the club was way too big, like they would have probably just kicked him out of the tournament. It would have been a big deal if it was something major. 10 people had their drivers checked and failed, including Scott Scheffler. I almost feel for Rory because nobody else is making, any noise about failing these, especially world number one and the winner, had to switch his driver out too because his didn't conform. But yeah, you're spot on. Just hitting a ball can set, the finest of details off of the club face or whatever they're checking for. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and you could turn around and you could, I guess you could try to make a case that like, oh, well, that's why he didn't perform as well. He hits his driver a handful of times during the round. I mean, he just didn't show up this week. He didn't have it for whatever reason. Call it postmaster's hangover. Call it like, oh, that big event's over, taking a breather. I don't know. He didn't have it on his best course too, which is kind of weird, but he just was not making shots. He wasn't playing right. Going back to what we said at the top of the episode, it was like we forgot how to play golf, and I think that just happened to Rory.
Yeah, he's admitted this year that he just hasn't had his full complement, of game together. And maybe he's still trying to, he fixed one area and it messes up another area. Who knows where he's at right now? Even when he won at Augusta, his driver wasn't the weapon that it, normally is.
Oh, yeah.
So even if it was, a cheating driver, it didn't help him much. But yeah, look, it just wasn't his week. It happens. It really does. And a lot of players struggled for whatever reason. Big names struggled that we, were counting on being around. It happens. It's golf.
Yeah. It's my fault because I bet on him.
Well, there you go.
I bet on him for top 5. Yep.
PJ Mush over
but no,
here.
It really is. No, the big issue I have with him though is, and I've been very vocal on this podcast about, all right, if you have a bad round and you don't want to talk to the press, I'll give you a pass. I still think you should, but I'll give you a pass. What is inexcusable as far as I'm concerned, he didn't talk to the press at all, and that's not cool. Not cool at all.
Yeah, he was 0 for 4 through his rounds this weekend. Not cool. I agree. I stated it last podcast that these guys are professionals. If you're making millions of dollars playing a game, part of the job is media availability, even if you don't play well. I'm not asking you to go up there and explain yourself. Like, if you have a bad day, you can go up there and say, hey, hit me with the questions and just say, I didn't have my best. And that would be good enough. If you just showed up, I didn't have my best, my driver didn't work, my putter, I couldn't make a putt. Whatever. Just, face the music and then move on from there. It's not a big deal. But unfortunately, it is a big deal now.
Yeah. John Rahm talked after the last round. I mean, he said it perfectly. He goes, it was really close. God, it's been a while since I had that much fun on the golf course. 15 holes, even the first 7, the day where I was swinging well and things weren't happening, but I kept myself in, made the pars that I needed, and played really good golf from the 8th to the 15th. It's just mistakes around the green. He still talked to the press, and look, he kind of blew it at the end there. I'll just go ahead and say it. He blew it. He knows that, but he still went ahead and talked to the press. Not to talk to the press after 4 rounds, just inexcusable. I'm sorry. No, I'm not giving Rory a pass there.
No, I'm completely with you on this one. He's gotten a lot of flowers this year, and rightfully so. It's just another spot where Rory kind of comes off, a little sulky, and I don't know. He's
whiny.
Yeah, very whiny, even though he didn't say anything. But he is very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde with his personality sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an emotional game, and part of that is why Scotty's doing so well, is because even when he plays poorly, like, he's always level-headed. I saw a stat this week, 6 out of the 10 times he made a bogey, like, he bounced back with a birdie or an eagle right afterwards. These little things don't seem to faze Scotty. Like, Rory sometimes gets caught up in it. Even Bryson gets caught up in it. I think the mental space is really where Scotty's pulling ahead right now.
No, exactly. That's how you win tournaments. Like, all right, I screwed up, put that hole behind me. I'm going to go out and perform. Speaking of people who did not put holes behind him, Wyndham Clark. That was, man, that was rough on that club throw in 16. Like, he didn't just chuck it. He didn't just casually toss it, get frustrated, slam it to the ground. No, he yeeted the shit out of that thing and busted a sign. Like, we're lucky nobody was standing there because they would have gotten seriously hurt with that. Like, that was, I'll forgive a club throw fine, but that was some dangerous stuff.
Yeah, that one was not good. That was a Happy Gilmore level of club toss, except his caddy wasn't there to catch it. It's an inexcusable thing, man.
I mean, let he who has not thrown the first club, or let he who has not thrown a club throw the first stone. I get it, but I don't know, man. I've never been that frustrated where I've thrown a club like that. Like, that's, I don't know. No, just no.
Yeah, I agree. It was bad, dude. I can't even speak on it. I feel like there's been a lot of these temper tantrums on tour recently, and I'm not sure what's causing it. Is it like the amount of money that's on the line? Is that an extra, added pressure to it? Are we trying to make golf exciting? I just don't get it. There's been a lot of these outbursts. Shane Lowry had a really bad one, which I understand way more than this one. Like, Wyndham just hit a bad drive. Lowry's ball came to rest inside of somebody else's pitch mark, and for some reason isn't able to get relief from that, which is a ridiculous rule.
Yeah, he had a dude from like ESPN come out, and I'd have to look for it, but if I remember right, it's some dude from ESPN come out and say, "Oh, this is how this needs to be played," or "This is what it looks like." I'm like, nah, I hate that rule too. Like, if it's in a pitch mark, if it's in a divot, you get free relief. You should not be penalized for hitting it down the fairway. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a brutal ruling. I mean, letter of the law, I get it. You kind of have to roll with the punches. It was just a bad look, again, from Shane. But a bigger divot is not as bad as literally breaking your club.
Yeah. I mean, he issued an apology. You can read it on Twitter. It's kind of long. I'm not going to read it here. And he's basically saying, like, I promise to better handle the way that I do, that I get frustrated and be a better person, and I hope you all can forgive me. I'm like, I always say, don't apologize, do better. And that's what I want to say. I want to see him do better, because no place for that in today's game.
No,
any game.
I completely agree.
Yeah, but
to piggyback off of hothead moments, how far do you hit your 9-iron?
I will say somewhere between probably about 140 to 190, depending on where I catch it on the club. But I'll call my stock about 140 on 35, 140.
Yeah, that's fair.
On my 9.
My current 9-iron is in the 155, 160 ballpark, but I also have a set of 1-up irons, so it's really an 8-iron of old. Our boy Bryson has failed twice this week to hit a 9-iron on 17, 210 yards or whatever it is. At what point does Bryson, who is the world's best driver of the ball, not only does he match it, he hits it accurately, a guy with a great short game, really good putter, his chipping and his bunker play is outrageous. At what point does this guy say, I don't have to hit a 9-iron, aka 6-iron, 220 yards every time I swing it? Because it has cost him 2 majors now.
He doesn't. He doesn't say that. And I'll tell you why, because that quote he gave. He goes, and I'll read this in full because it's just hilarious because of what you just said. And absolutely. What I think needs to happen, being pretty transparent here, is just get a golf ball that flies a little straighter. Everybody talks about how straight the golf ball flies. Well, upwards of 190, like Rory and myself, it's actually quite difficult to control the golf ball. Which, all right, I'll give you that. I'll agree. Like, that's just physics right there.
Right.
The ball side spins quite a bit, and it gets hit by the wind quite a bit because their golf balls are just longer in the air. So I'm looking at ways of how to rectify that. So my wedges, there you go. So my wedges can be even tighter so it can fly straighter. Is he getting 190 on his wedges?
This is why I'll never bet Bryson in the Open. Because part of the game of golf is not swinging at 200 miles per hour every shot. You can lower your swing speed and lower the revolutions on the ball. Like, Mr. Scientist over here just won't admit that he can slow down and hit a straighter shot. And it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and that's what he needs to work on, is that finesse. That's the weakest part of his game. And he has it. He knows how to do it, but he insists on swinging for the fences every single time. And to your point, that screws him over. That screwed him over this time. It has screwed him over so many times in the past. That being said, his performances at majors has been amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. He is he's had eight top 10 since 2020. He's had 2 wins at what was it? It was the Open. I'm trying to remember where it was in 2020.
Pinehurst last year.
Pinehurst. Yeah, Pinehurst last year. I was trying to remember 2020. But 8 career top 10 finishes in majors. Like, he performs really, really well. And he just needs to get that discipline in his brain where he doesn't have to just smack the crap out of everything. He needs to finesse the ball a little bit more. And I think once he does that, you can make an argument for eventually being number 1 in the world at some point.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, if he just has an average iron game at Augusta, he is the champion. If he is average with his irons this week, he's probably right there with Scotty. I mean, it would be a much better tournament. It wouldn't be a runaway. But yeah, Bryson I don't get the mindset. And to blame it on the ball, come on, man.
No, I'll get him that. Like, I'll get him that slightly. Not when it comes to your wedges, but with his driver, sure. Okay. Fine, because again, that's just science. And as he pointed out, it's up in the air longer, it flies longer. Okay, cool. And the spin's going to be harder because of how he hits it. But that's not an excuse for wedges. I'm sorry. The ball has nothing to do with that. That is you, my friend. Mm-hmm. That is you, sir.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we just look like Scotty Scheffler is one of the best players in, judging the wind nowadays. It's effortless for him because it's such a finesse. It's such a feel. It's an art. It's not a science. And I will keep saying this about Bryson. Like, he's not going to be able to do this on a course where the elements are the biggest factors. It's not, the length of the rough. It's not how far you can hit it. It's how much you can adapt to everything. I just don't see it happening until he wakes up about it. I thought I came around to him after Augusta, but he just pulls out one of these again. Man, I want to like him. I really do. I really want him.
I like him, but he's just frustrating to watch because of that. He needs help. But he's now become the 3rd player in the stroke play era to finish his runner-up in back-to-back years at the PGA. So he joins Jack and DJ with that distinction of being runner-up at the PGA 2X.
Nice.
And, yeah.
Yeah. More often than not, the bridesmaid, man. Oh, well.
I don't know if Oakmont's going to do him any favors. I'll have to, yeah. We'll cover that on a later episode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I've pretty much said my piece on the 2025 PGA. I mean, it was a major, not the best major they've had in a while. Quail Hollow, it's a solid course. It's not the best course to hold this on, but it did the job, and I think we're all just looking forward to Oakmont in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I agree. One last thing on Quail Hollow. I forget who I saw it from. I wish I could give credit. But on Twitter, I read basically along the lines of, I think people are confusing well-kept courses for good courses.
Yes.
So yes. Quail Hollow is in great shape, great grounds crew. It is a professional level course because of how it's maintained. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my last piece on Quail Hollow. Just because it looks good doesn't mean it always is good.
Yeah, well, we move on. We move on to Oakmont, and not to kind of get us started on a somber note with Oakmont, but for the first time this century, and this is quoting an article directly because I'm not that good of a wordsmith. I'm pretty good. But for the first time this century, the U.S. Open will certainly almost take place without Sergio Garcia. He failed to qualify in the major championship Monday in Dallas. And so pretty much aside from getting some sort of special exemption, which, I mean, we'll give him the tending the flag exemption. I think we can pass that out to him. We get an exemption for this, for the Open. He's going to miss out on his first U.S. Open for the first time since 1999. How crazy is that, though? 25 years of U.S. Open.
Yeah, he very consistent for when he did play. I'm pretty sure he's gone through the qualifying process before to get into it. And I checked the leaderboard. I forget. Did he only miss by one shot this year? Like, it was close.
Says he bogeyed his final hole in a 36-hole qualifier, which ended up costing him a spot in a 7-for-1 playoff. So he's 3-putted the last green. Ended up shooting a 71 in the second round, 6 under another day. Yeah, I mean, it says he just missed out on the playoff spot. So, yeah, it was probably, I couldn't imagine it being too much.
The 3-putt cost him. Yeah, I thought I saw that. The violins are playing right now.
Yeah, Sergio-less, man. I mean, that just hurts. It hurts almost as much as not being able to talk about Mr. Block today. and a joyous occasion instead of dead effing last.
Yeah, well.
Guess the block party's over, man.
It's not over because he is playing again this week.
Oh, he is. It's not going to go well. But you know what? God bless Michael Block forever in our hearts as a legend. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for this quick little PGA Championship 2025 recap. We move on to Oakmont, and we'll go over everything that happens there. But, hey, since you stuck with us this far and you haven't subscribed to us, why not? Perfect time, free to subscribe. You get notifications of all our podcasts. You can check us out on YouTube and Instagram at Tending Flag. We have some awesome content up there already and some cool content coming up in the future. And we'd also love to hear what you guys think and, any comments, suggestions, love, anything cool that you guys want to hear. We're going to have a trip report in a couple weeks, too. We booked a trip to Tobacco Road, so we're going to talk about that when we get back in August, and a lot of good stuff in the future.
Yeah, if you ever been down to Tobacco Road, too, give us a shout-out and let us know what to look out for, any good places to eat, any other good courses in the area that don't involve Pinehurst or, the known ones around there. We're interested in trying to check out maybe even Todd Hill Farms. Some of the more obscure places around there. We would love to hear that too.
Look, I think we have enough subscribers to say we got enough clout to get on Pinehurst too whenever we want.
Pinkies up.
We're fancy, man. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. Again, don't forget to check us out on all the socials at Tending Flag. It's not Tending the Flag. It's just at Tending Flag. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week when we have a regularly scheduled episode coming out. But I hope y'all enjoyed the special. And until next time, hit them straight.
Yeah,
have fun. Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna lead you guys off with a quote from Scotty Scheffler earlier this week before the tournament.
All right.
Scotty said, "Golf is kind of an endless pursuit of getting the best out of yourself." So let's let that sink
philosophical in now.
From the Gospel of Scotty.
Amen.
Amen.
Until next time, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right. Enjoy.